Okay, so recently I posted a video on the YouTube, on our YouTube channel, and it was basically just me making the point that I think the fitness industry has gone too far in the image-obsessed realm, and by that I mean they hate you if your goal is to be thin, or your goal is to just lose fat. That's it. Just because you want to look good in a bikini or something.
You have to get strong.
You have to get strong, or you have to have ripped abs. You have to be an athlete. You have to actually want athletic goals. I want to deadlift 500 pounds, or I want to be awesome, have a better Fran time, or I want to do backflips or something. I don't know. Whatever the fuck your athletic goals are, those are fine, right? But if you have an image goal whatsoever, you're a douchebag. Fuck you. Get out of our world.
This is not functional.
Not functional, right? And my problem with this sort of philosophy is that you're constantly preaching to the converted, right? So that all sounds good, and everybody can laugh and cheer and kumbaya together because we're all in the same world. We all have those already, right? I mean, I already have athletic goals, and I already like exercises that are hard, like deadlifting and all that shit. And I like barbells, and I like chalk. I like chalk partly because I'm a mathematician, so I like chalk for all kinds of reasons. They can just cover me in chalk. But that doesn't help you if your goal is to convert people. I think this is the big make or break. So this is not the first time. I've been accused quite a lot, actually, especially in the Olympic lifting world, of pandering, or of basically, I don't know. I go out there and I talk to people who only maybe just heard about Olympic style weightlifting, or if we're talking about fitness and stuff, I'm totally willing to talk to somebody about just getting skinny. That's cool. And I get accused of pandering all the damn time. And I sort of understand that, because obviously there's a fine line between pandering and just good marketing and good campaigning, right? I mean, if you're gonna win a presidential election, is the best strategy to say, look, these are my ideas, fuck you if you don't agree with me, go to hell. No, you are going to lose that election, man. That's not gonna fly. On the other hand, if you go out there and you really listen to what people have to say, even if sometimes the stuff you don't even necessarily agree with, but you listen to what they gotta say, and you try to find some way of helping them to get what they really deeply want, they're far more likely to be cool with you in the long run and maybe go along with what you want, or go along with some ideas that they might have been totally against before, but now they're totally into, simply because you kind of allowed them to go through that psychological process, which is what it is, of going into a new world with a new culture and getting into new things. And you start beating people over the head right away with all the stuff that you're into, you are not going to get anybody on your side. Instead, you're just going to piss people off. And I think just as an industry, that's what we're doing. So we run a strength gym. I mean, we also run boot camps, though. We run fitness fat loss boot camps. So, what's kind of weird is that I don't know, our boot campers end up doing things like,
well, yeah. So it's no one signs up for our boot camp and says, you know what, I want to just be the strongest person on earth. That's my goal. That's why I'm signing up for boot camp. Because if they wanted to be the strongest person on earth, then they would come to our gym for a different reason, because we like to lift heavy shit.
Yeah.
But boot camp people come and say, I can think of specific examples. You know what, I want to lose 40 to 50 pounds by this date, because I have some important thing that's happening on that date, and I want to be 40 or 50 pounds lighter.
right.
Or, I have 4 kids, I haven't exercised since I had those kids, and I'm really overweight right now and out of shape, and I just want to, get back to how I looked before I had kids. They're not coming in and saying, you know what, Nick, I would like to deadlift 500 pounds. But because they're coming to our gym, if someone comes and says, I want to lose 50 pounds, that's fine. That's your goal. We will help you get there. You just have to do it our way. And part of what you have to do is say deadlift. And what happens is, even though that person didn't come in saying, I want to be all kick-ass at deadlifting, they actually decide that they enjoy doing that. And I mean, we just had a group of women in our last boot camp group that none of them came and said, I want to get stronger, and none of them said, I want to be a world champion deadlifter. They all said, basically, I would like to lose some weight, or I just want to be in an environment where, like, I have someone telling me what to do so I can get to my goal. And then, see, this is the power of Facebook. One of them saw some other woman's Facebook post about how they deadlifted however much weight, This girl deadlifted 135 pounds for a set of 5 or something like that. And all of a sudden they were like, oh my God, I could totally beat that. I've been deadlifting and I know I'm strong enough to do that. And the next couple weeks became all of this, like, I want to get my deadlift up so I can deadlift more than this person.
Yeah.
Not in like a horrible, bitchy sort of way.
But enough fun.
I'm okay with encouraging that also. That's how I work. But like, in a way, they got really excited about deadlifting, and they said, I never thought that I was going to be this excited about like a barbell, because that's not why they came.
Right.
They came to lose 40 or 50 pounds or whatever it was. But because they have to do it our way, which involves lifting a barbell, it's, if they liked being on the elliptical rider and being a vegan, then they would not have come to our gym.
We're not saying you can't be a vegan at our gym.
Yeah, we do. Okay, so I'm not going to say that. We actually have.
Let's be very clear.
It's Asheville. It's totally Asheville.
We wouldn't actually probably have a business if all vegetarians and vegans were not allowed
it's
to be here.
There's vegetarian, vegans, hippies, and all sorts of,
right.
paleo people, whatever.
Yeah, truth is we don't really care what you eat.
But
Let's be totally honest.
If they were just like, I want to walk on the treadmill and read a magazine and be a vegan, like, they wouldn't have come to us in the first place. So there was a reason they were at our gym, and they knew that they were going to have to lift a barbell, even if they didn't understand what that meant at the time.
Yeah.
But I wasn't like, when they came, I wasn't like, you're wrong. You don't need to lose 50 pounds. You just need to get stronger. That's absolutely not what I said, because I don't know if they want to be stronger. Maybe they don't want to be stronger.
Yeah. At the time when they came in, they didn't have the same association with, strength training and barbells and all this other heavy stuff that they eventually were going to have, and like, that's sort of the idea, is like accepting that the process that a person goes through to eventually be cool with all this stuff could be a long one, and it's going to go through these different phases, and you don't want to rush that. It has to be coming from them, on the inside of their own mind. Like, if you are coming to us and saying, it's one of the biggest reasons we have a boot camp program, not just, because it's good for the bottom line, but, it's a way to slowly get members who are more sort of steady members that are into what we do, but never knew that until they met us, right? And we're not the only place that does this. Like, CrossFit clubs do the same things. Lots of people go to a CrossFit club. They literally just want to lose weight. That's all they care about. And then over time, they get hooked on whatever else is going on there, and then they stay forever, doing their own thing.
And then they realize that weightlifting is way better than CrossFit.
Then some of them decide CrossFit was cool, but the part I really like is lifting really heavy weights, and I'm tired of doing cardio, so I'm gonna go join Asheville Strength.
I'm okay with that.
Yeah, we're okay with that too. We have nothing wrong with you staying in CrossFit and also doing weightlifting, by the way. You can check out my article on that. But, at the end of the day, like, if you are somebody who does care that there are millions upon millions upon millions of people in this country
who are fat,
who are really out of shape. I mean, like, crazy, like, never in the history of the face of the planet been this out of shape. Wildly out of shape. Most of them never exercising a day in their whole life. Right? They have so many walls up, so much resistance in their mind, so much psychological blockage, that getting them to get in the gym at all is like miraculous, right? And the trouble, though, is that there is this tendency among many of these people to just, they'll go through periods where they've lost weight, but then they're going to go gain it all back again, and then they're going to lose weight and they gain it all back again. And we, in the more athletically inclined community, are like, well, yeah, duh. I mean, you didn't do any strength training, and you never actually figured out how to deal with your diet. You never learned these sorts of things that are really important to being able to maintain that weight loss. One of which, very often, is just finding a physical activity you like to do so that you'll keep doing it. Because nobody's going to exercise so that they don't die an early death. Nobody does that. You know, like, nobody says, I am going to go to the gym today because I hope when I'm, 80, I'll still be healthy.
No, there are weird people like that.
Okay.
They don't come to our gym.
Yeah, there are some weird people like that. But they're very rare. I mean, most people, they're like, they're going to find an activity they like because they have some short-term goal they're trying to reach.
Yes.
Or because it's just fun. For whatever reason. Like, one of those two things, or both of them, is what keeps most people who are constantly physically active for their whole life going. You need one of those two things. And so, in other words, one way or another, if you want all of these people, maybe you don't, but I do, I think this is important. Like, there's all these people in America who, they want that help, they really do want that. They just have no concept of how to do it. And they're very resistant to what would actually work. And you're not going to help them by saying, you're just an idiot. Like, you have no idea what you need. Why don't you? Or whatever. Like, you should just instantaneously go from a whole lifetime of inactivity to loving strength training and, cooking your own food, all the other stuff.
Killing it. You got to kill it.
You got to kill your own food. You do. You don't have your own goat.
Paleo Man killed his own food.
Yeah. Paleo Man loves Slurpees. I saw Encino Man. He was wheezing the juice, baby. This is my general philosophy on paleo, is you must wheeze the juice. I don't even know what I just said. It's completely meaningless. I think
it's because I distracted you.
I think a good 40% of everything that comes out of my mouth is just complete nonsense. But the other 60% is gold, baby. You just gotta be like a gold miner.
This is why I know people on the internet are mad at you, because sometimes you just talk to the camera to just have ideas. It's like,
they're not like my articles.
Doesn't mean you're like, I'm going to believe this for the rest of my life. And sometimes it's like, I'm going to say this, what's your opinion? And then you're like, you know what? You made a good point. I shouldn't have said it that way.
Yeah.
Like, it's, good God, people, it's just the fucking internet. It's not like, just because I said something on video once, 3 years ago, doesn't mean I have to keep believing it for the rest of my life. Maybe I change my mind the next second because someone was like, you know what? That really doesn't sound right. It's more like this. And you're like, you know what?
Yeah.
You're right. That's a much better analogy.
Yeah, I've been on the internet a long time, which means I contradict myself all the time, and I really disagree with that Dick Horton guy from a couple years ago. That guy was an idiot.
I disagree with myself a lot.
I always disagree with myself. I mean, imagine your CrossFit self meeting your current self. That would be a battle of the century. Oh my God, that'd be awesome. But especially with videos, I say shit on video, man, that is just coming out of my mouth. My articles, I have time to edit and think about it and go, okay, maybe this is the way I really think it should be, or this is my idea on this thing,
and yet
I can
amazingly
word it in
you're
a good
still
way.
allowed to change your mind after that.
Yeah, even then,
shockingly,
I still say things that I don't
you might have
necessarily
learned
always
something
agree
new.
with. Yeah, because it's normal. We're all humans, right? Humans do this kind of thing. We're going through a process of learning all the time. You're never really done, and so
now
that's
we're getting
normal.
all philosophical.
Yeah, we're totally philosophical. I mean, we had a lot of coffee and breakfast finally, so that means our brains are functioning at high levels. That probably doesn't mean that, but I said it on video, so it's true. So anyway, we have no point whatsoever, other than if you want to convert people, and that's kind of what we're talking about, right? If you want to get more people, everybody complains about it. Everybody says, God, Americans are horribly out of shape. And especially people in the fitness community and the athletic community and all that, they just bitch and moan nonstop. You go to a party with these people, right? Our people, like us. And they start drinking, hanging out, talking. What are they inevitably start talking about? It's always going to come back to things like that. Man, you ever walked in Walmart? Or you ever hung out in IHOP? Everybody's completely out of shape. And we'll just talk about this kind of stuff, right? What people should do, blah, 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 blah. And that's fine when you're just hanging out with your friends, because that's, again, preaching to the converted. But at the end of the day, if you want to change that, if you want to not just talk about it, but make a difference, that means you got to go speak their language, you got to get into their world, and you got to be with them in their thing, right? You got to help them come to your thing. And that means you got to be a lot more like a missionary or a campaign manager or whatever person whose job it is to convert others. If you do that, you're going to make a much bigger difference than if you don't. And that's about all I got.